topic is presentation of data. Introduction. Data collected and compiled from experimental work, surveys, registers, or records are raw data. These are unsorted and not very helpful in understanding the underlying trends or its meaning. So the next step is to sort and classify the data into characteristic group or classes according to age, sex, social class, DMFT. The objective of classification of data are to make the data simple, concise, meaningful, interesting, and helpful in further analysis. Tabulation is the first step in presentation of data. These are simple devices used for presentation of statistical data. General principles that are accepted as more or less standard for table construction are: tables should be as simple as possible. Two or three small tables are preferred to a single large table containing many details or variables. Generally, three variables constitute a maximum number which can be read with ease. The data must be presented according to size or importance, chronologically or alphabetically. Tables should be self-explanatory. Each row and column should be labeled concisely and clearly. The specific units of measure for the data should be given. Every table should contain a little as to what is depicted in the table. In small tables, vertical lines separating the columns may not be necessary. If the data are not original, their source should be given in a footnote. Types of tables are master table, simple table, frequency distribution table. Master table is a table which contains all the data obtained from a survey. In this table, all initial readings as per the design pro forma are serially recorded. When the number of observations is large and several attributes have to be studied, the master table is must. Simple table is a one-way table which supply answers to questions about one characteristic of data. In this, the characteristic under observation is fixed and the number of frequency of events is small. Frequency distribution table. 3 points should be kept in mind while taking such a table. The class interval must be same throughout and number of groups should not be unduly large. The headings should be clear. If the data are expressed in rate or proportions, this should be specified. If some data are omitted, the reason should be explained. The data is first split up into convenient groups and number of items which occur in each group is shown in adjacent column. The merits of frequency distribution table that it shows at a glance how many individual observations are in a group and where the main concentration lies. It also shows the range and distribution of shape. Most important table in statistical work. In a frequency table, large unsorted data is presented in a small manageable number of groups. It records how frequently a characteristic occurs in persons of same group. In qualitative data, the characteristic remains the same and frequency varies, while in quantitative data, both are variable. Frequency tables can be prepared using either type of data. Two-column frequency table. First, list the classes into which the data are grouped. Second, frequencies of each classification. Additional rules are: the number of class intervals should not be too many or too less. There is no rigidity about it. It may be preferable between 5 and 20. The class intervals should be equal with. The class limits should be clearly defined to avoid ambiguity. The tables can be prepared by manual tabulation or by mechanical tabulation. The next topic in presentation of data is bar charts. Objective of class of data is to make the data simple, concise, meaningful, interesting, and helpful in further analysis. Two main methods of presenting data are tabulation and charts and diagrams. Charts and diagrams is one of the most convincing and appealing ways of depicting statistical analysis. Diagrams and graphs are extremely useful because they are attractive to eyes. They give a bird's eye view of entire data. They have a lasting impression on the mind of the layman. They facilitate comparison of data relating to different time periods and regions. Basic rules in construction of diagrams and graphs are: every diagram must be given a title that is self explanatory. It should be simple and consistent with the data. Usually, the values of variables are presented in horizontal or x axis and frequency or vertical line or y axis. The number of lines drawn in any graph should not be many. This makes the diagram look clumsy. A scale of presentation for the x and y axis should be mentioned. The scale of division of two axes should be proportional, and the divisions should be marked along with the details of the variables and frequencies presented on the axis. The space between any two bars prevalence rate per thousand populations and presentation appear neat, clean, and easily comprehensible. That is the way. Bar chart is a way of presenting a set of numbers by the length of bar. Width of the bar remains the same and only the length varies according to frequency in each category. Bars can either be vertical or horizontal. Bars are separated by spaces and suitable scale must be chosen to present the length of the bars. There are three types of bar charts: simple bar chart, multiple bar chart, proportional or component bar chart. Simple bar chart presents only one variable. Example: age-wise, prevalence of dental caries. Multiple bar chart is similar to bar diagram except that for each category of variable, there are a set of bars of same width corresponding to different sections without any gap in between. Example: prevalence of dental caries based on age and gender. Proportional or component bar chart are divided into two or more parts of each part representing a certain item and proportional to magnitude of particular item. The next topic in presentation of data is pictogram. In this, small pictures or symbols are used for presentation of data. They are especially used for common man. Example: population per physician. Pictograms are popular method of presenting data to the man in the street and to those who cannot understand orthodox charts. Small pictures or symbols are used to present the data. For example, a picture of doctor to represent the population per physicians. Fractions of the picture can be used to represent numbers smaller the value of a whole symbol. In essence, pictograms are a form of bar charts. The next topic in presentation of data is line diagram. The diagram is useful to study changes of values in variable over time. It is the simplest type of diagram. On the x-axis, the time is such as hours, days, weeks, months or years. The values of any quantity pertaining to is represented along y-axis. They organize and present data in a clear manner and show relationships between data. Line graphs display a change in direction. It shows trends of an event occurring over a period of time to know whether it is increased or decreased. For example, age-wise prevalence of dental disease.
The next topic in the presentation of data is scatter diagram. It is a diagram which shows the relationship between two variables. If dot clusters around a straight line, it shows a linear relationship. It is a graphic representation of data. For example, relationship between sugar intake on x-axis and dental caries prevalence on y-axis showing a positive relationship. The next topic in the presentation of data is pie diagram. These are called because the entire graph looks like a pie and its components represents slides cut from a pie. The total angle of entire circle is equal to 360 degree. It represents the total frequency. For example, distribution of dental diseases in 30 to 40 years old. The segments are then shaded with different shades or colors in an index is provided for these shaded colors. The pie diagram cannot be used to represent two or more data sets. The next topic in the presentation of data is frequency polygon. The frequency distribution may also be represented diagrammatically by the frequency polygon. It is obtained by joining the mile points of the histogram blocks by the straight lines. This is most commonly used graphic device to illustrate statistical distribution. Frequency polygons may be of different shapes. Bell-shaped symmetrical distribution, bimodal, having two peaks distribution that could represent an overlapping group of males and females. Rectangular distribution, symmetrical, positively squared since it lays off in positive direction, asymmetrical, negatively squared, asymmetrical. Advantages is very easy to construct and very easy to interpret. It is very useful in portraying more than two distributions on the same graph paper with different colors. So it is very useful to compare two or more than two distributions. The next topic in the presentation of data is histogram. It is a pictorial diagram of frequency distribution. It consists of a series of blocks. The class intervals are given along the horizontal axis and frequencies along the vertical axis. The area of each block or rectangle is proportional to the frequency. Model histogram of frequency distribution of blood pressure in females is 45 to 64 years. Advantages: we saw how several frequency polygons were placed on the same axis to make comparisons easy and illustrate the differences. Disadvantages: only one histogram can be placed clearly on one set of axes. It consists of a series continuous vertical rectangle. In constructing a histogram, the class boundaries are considered to be very important and they are taken on the horizontal axis, and the class intervals are not of equal width. Heights of rectangles are made proportional to the frequency densities.